Hi, I'm Mike Walden. I am the author of a new report looking at the economic impact of residential construction in Wake County. This is actually a report that's been updated from previous years. I think this is the third in the series. When we talk about economic impact of any industry, it can be home building, it can be the pharmaceutical industry, it can be healthcare. It's important to recognize that economic impact goes beyond just the confines of that particular industry. For example, in the case of home building, oftentimes people will say, well, we want to look at the economic impact simply in terms of how much money is spent building the homes, how much money, for example, might be taxed away once that home is constructed. That's certainly an important part of economic impact. But economic impact goes broader. For example, when we're constructing homes, firms will obviously hire workers, they'll hire equipment. The owners of that equipment, the workers will earn money. They will then in turn spend that money, some of it in the local community, so that creates another economic impact. The construction firm may have suppliers themselves, so there may be positive impacts on other firms who may not actually be at the construction site. So it's important to take into account all of those impacts. When we go to the position where the homes are already constructed and occupied, again, obviously the household living in that house will have impacts on the community. They'll spend money, they'll send their children to school, etc., they'll drive, and those are important impacts. But again, there are going to be wider impacts when that household, for example, goes to the supermarket to buy food. The supermarket in turn is buying food from other vendors, many of them here in North Carolina, or when the household goes to the mall and buys various consumer items. Again, those stores at the mall will in turn have bought their items from other vendors, again, many of them here in North Carolina or in Wake County. So it's important, therefore, to account for those wider economic impacts. And this report does that, as any good economic report would do. And it presents the economic impacts separately for detached units as well as attached units. We construct an example of 100 attached units being built, 100 detached units being built. And then in each case, we look at two parts of the economic impact. One part that occurs when construction happens, the 3 to 4 month period when the home is being constructed. And then the second part when the household when the home is purchased by a household and then household moves into the home. Now, because Wake County is a growing county, we do assume that although the particular housing may not be the case, but when a household does occupy a newly constructed unit in Wake County, that is a net gain of a household to Wake County. That's an easy assumption to be made here in Wake County because we're a growing community. Other counties that do not have that kind of growth, that may be a little iffier. So we therefore generate numbers in each case for the detached and attached units, how much additional income is generated in Wake County, how many new jobs are generated in Wake County, as well as what the tax revenues are to local governments in Wake County, as well as the cost of public services. So we try to look comprehensively at all of those factors. Now, in terms of the public sector impacts, what we found, and we found this in previous reports also, using the data for 2013, which is the year of the analysis, we found that for attached units, the public sector revenues coming in far exceed the public sector costs. And that's mainly because with attached units, household sizes are much smaller, particularly not as many children to educate. Now, for detached units, we do find that the public sector revenues coming in do exceed the public sector costs, but the margin there is much smaller. And again, the reason being that with detached units, household sizes are larger, more children to educate, and of course the cost of public education, both in terms of construction and operating, is a very significant local public cost. So these numbers that we generated for 1 year, 2013, can't necessarily say that the same is going to be true for every year, but it does give us a snapshot of what the economic impact is of residential construction in Wake County for that year.